After two surprise winners last time out at Circuit of the Americas, our drivers turn to another newly built but now legendary endurance racing track, but they're visiting this one for the first time, the Algarve International Circuit. Will the drivers be able to learn how to manage multiclass here quickly, or will the mistakes and chaos of last week continue here at Portimão? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Portimão is one of 2 new tracks IMSA Vintage is visiting this season. To find out what makes this place tick, let's take you down to our track guide.
Welcome to Algarve International Circuit, more commonly known to fans as Portimão. Located at the very southern end of Portugal and just a half an hour from the Atlantic Ocean, the first thing most folks notice about this place is the elevation changes. It has nearly as many rises and falls as it does corners, which, for those curious, is either 15 or 16 turns depending on which of the 4 layouts you choose. All clock in at roughly 4.5 kilometers, or just under 3 miles. A lap here kicks off with a big plunge down into Primeira, which is either a swift right flick or a sharp turn into a chicane. Both are going to be tough to nail. We'll go through a good variety of fast, medium, and slow corners, but each one is distinctly different. Having a stable setup will absolutely be key. One of the most iconic spots is the flight over the hill between Samsung and Craig Jones. It's often described as a roller coaster-like hill, feeling like it's going to throw you out of the car. Built in 2008, it's got a surprising amount of character for a relatively new circuit. Because of this, it's become quite popular for a number of motorcycle and GT series that visit regularly. It's also hosted lots of TC racing and open-wheelers all the way up to Formula One. As the first Portuguese track to join the iRacing service, it'll likely be just as popular virtually as it is with fans in real life.
Well, Craig, there you saw some laps around the Algarve International Circuit here, but what are the IMSA Vintage drivers going to be handling today?
Yeah, Adam, well, known as Portimão first, this 15-turn, 2.58-mile track has been the home of motorsport in Portugal and a staple in endurance racing in many forms for the last decade. With elevation changes, long, sweeping, and sustaining corners, it's a high-speed track for sports car racing that really makes downforce cars feel at home. So it's no surprise that the GTPs will have a lot of fun here today. Drivers will look at to make the most out of the corners and will look to make the advantage thanks to all the space possible because of how wide the track is. But with the anti-cut curves at the mid-speed and slow corners like Primeira and Lagos, they'll have to pay attention not to turn in early. And to make it harder for the drivers is the constant elevation changes, with braking zone down to Torre being downhill. But a lot of these corners a little close to being full throttle on most of them. Getting the clear air is going to be crucial for those Audi Nissan drivers today. For the GTOs, it's oil and water once again. While the Audi drivers will enjoy the opening section of the track, once they get past Torre, it's not as fun. The elevation changes will start to make the drivers adjust their braking zones more. And with some corners having brine crest mid-corner, it really is a case of trusting the car. As we know, once the Audis take a line, they struggle to change the line mid-corner. Galp will be a tricky corner, as the drivers will be looking to get the best exit out the final corner, but they will need to make sure they don't get on throttle too early, or they'll risk understeering off the track. Now for multi-class, it's into the unknown for the drivers. It's the first week of the track ever for this series, so a delta of 12 to 13 seconds is normal, and the drivers might want to look back at last season at Mugello for an idea of how traffic will go, as the Nissans will look to get around the Audis whichever way they can mid-corner due to that downforce and space, while having to be patient and wait at corners like Portimão. Adam, this is the track that drivers have been asking for the last few years, and with iRacing's European expansion, there has never been a better time to make this track have its announcement.
Definitely not, and there's never been a better time to be in the IMSA Vintage series, starting with our GTP Championship standings right now, it looks like we might have a little bit of a bug going on. It's actually Dustin Heroder tied with Eric Neath for those top 2 positions. Based on my scoring, I think Dustin would take that because he's got the win versus Eric Neath's position. But I will say, however, that Alexander Van der Sant still there, only 3 points back. Yuko Leskala in 4th, not too far behind, with Brendan Lim in 5th as well. Brendan doing a consistent job this season. Andres Valenteus did not show up last week, which puts him in 6th. And then we have Aitor Sintes Galindo and Raul Roches Guardia, both of them tied for that 7th position, with Raul actually having the win over Aitor. And then we have Enol Lewis and Jack Wells running out your top 10, as well as Ian Haycock's tied down there with Martin Kraytrick for 11th and 12th. But, Rob, take us through GTOs.
Once again, I'm not Rob, I am Craig, and I won't put an Irish accent on, do not worry. Mickey Friesen will be leading them away in the championship at the moment, but look at that! Cam Porter, consistency, I know it's early days, but it's consistency. Cam Porter, 2nd place, and it's something that people are loving to see. And because of the fact we've had a quiet week 2, and it's still the early season, everybody is pretty close together. Jack David Spickett gets into P4 thanks to his victory last week. Then you've got the ties between Wickstrom, Demers, and Lundberg, and then you've got that massive tie as well behind them with Salumba and Schuster. It is very close everywhere, even a couple points between 10th and 15th. So it's all to play for, and again, it is still early days.
We'll quickly get to our race details before jumping into qualifying. It's round 3 of 12, 40 minutes out here with open setups and no spare vehicle for them. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25, and you definitely can run into those this race for sure, Craig. But as we get back to qualifying, most of our GTPs have set their first lap times. Aaron Humphrey, provisional pole position in the number 8 machine.
Yeah, and Brendan Lim's only close to him at the moment. Literally 400 between Humphrey and Lim. The GTOs are out there at the moment. Mickey Friesen is leading them away. This is interesting because we talked about it at the start of the season with some of the regulars no longer in the GTO. It really opens up this GTO category now. And Mickey Friesen's the first one to say, I'm taking the baton. I want this.
Absolutely. With a win last week, it's no surprise to see him back up on pole position, deciding to take the baton, like you said, of the championship leader. And it's funny how getting into the championship lead, you tend to put a little bit more practice in because you want to maintain that, because now you have an opportunity, you have a chance. So it's no surprise to see him driving around here on that provisional pole position. Still only about 4/10 ahead of Andreas Sliumba. But Alexander Van der Sant, no surprise to see him jump up to the top of the timing sheets of the GTPs.
No surprise. And I really wanted to show this. It's really nice just seeing what the POV here for the Audis is, because look at how tight these corners are and the elevation change. So there you go. A little bit of braking now. Downhill and up the hill. Be careful not to spin the corner. And there, just see that there. You've got a little bit of excess runoff there, but not too much. If you've got a single monitor, that corner is treacherous for anyone to follow. And then down into what would normally be the penalty loop at Sagres. And again, downhill, sweeping corner. Get on the throttle when you can. It really is a challenge in these GTOs. And look, he's even struggling to find where that is Mickey Friesen, where that apex is. Is it going to be faster, though? That's the question. He's going to come across the line, and it isn't. Wow, talk about consistency, Adam. His first lap was a 42.042. His second lap was a 42.045.
Absolutely, and Josh position, great to see him in a better qualifying spot. He's usually qualifies in the top 5, but then can get podiums, so that's going to be an interesting development as most of our drivers are finishing their second laps here. Arturas Kundalis comes across the line, only good enough for 4th position. Thorben Pollock will be the next one to cross the line, and he crosses, and let's see whether or not he improves his time. The answer is no there. So it looks like it's going to be Mickey Friesen on provisional pole position for the moment, and Alexander Van der Sant in the GTPs. And taking a look to see whether anyone else is going to have time to do a lap time. I do believe that James Melvin could still get a lap in the GTPs, and Fernando Matos could also get a lap in the GTOs. He's just finishing his second lap now, Fernando Matos. I don't believe that he set a time. It doesn't look like it. So it's all on James Melvin there, out there by himself with plenty of time to complete this lap.
Yeah, we get to get a look now to see how these drivers in the GTPs will start to take some of these corners. By the way, Valentage's not a good day out there in qualifying. We'll look at that when we go to the grid with a minute left. This is going to be Melvin's only chance at a lap. You see how much they're able to hug that curb, stick to the inside as much as they can, get down the throttle. This is his second lap. It was invalid last time. He puts it up to a respectable 29 flat, sorry. I was going to say he's the number 40 car. That's where I see the 40. Respectable time. He's going to get a little bit extra time here just to do some practice. Ever so crucial to get whatever practice you can here.
Absolutely. Most of the drivers are taking a short break before we get going, but we won't because we're going to the starting grid. Alexander Van der Sant's going to be on pole position for the GTPs with Timothy Vaughn next to him. Jack Wells will line up behind Van der Sant, and then we've got Aaron Humphrey lined up behind Vaughn. Laust Olsen will start off row 3 next to Andres Valenteus, who did not get the qualifying he was expecting today. Brendan Lim starts in 7th position, a little bit down from where he usually starts, with Victor Rodriguez next to him in 8th. Timothy Reed is 9th, and Michael de Turk rounds out your top 10 with we got Ivan Alescus Ayuso is going to start off in 11th position with Javier Del Olmo next to him on row 6. Row 7 is Eno Lewis with Fabian Jungblith down in 14th position, unfortunately for his starting position. Aitor Sintes Galindo also not in the top 10. He's down in 15th with Emerson Gaudin next to him in 16th position. Seamus Power starts out in 17th with Carlos Alvarez Benede is going to start off in 18th position. Logan Edwards in 19th spot, and Zachary Buchanan starting off in 20th. 21st is going to go to James Melvin, as we just saw, with Aaron Barta starting off in 22nd position. Ian Haycock starts off in 23rd, Matthew Cockerham in 24th, and we got Francesc Andreas Diaz is going to start off in 25th, and the last to set a qualifying time, which is all the GTPs, is Diego Barrero Hevia with 26 GTPs total. Craig?
And we'll go to the GTOs, and Mickey Friesen will be leading them off with Josh Brain on the same row as him in second. Andreas Salumba will be third with Arturus Candelas in fourth. Johan Van Hixie will be fifth with Roman Bello in sixth, and then Andreas Schuster will be seventh, and Doug Cloud in eighth position. Alfonso Fernandez comes over. He will be in ninth position, and David Lehman will be 10th to start off the first page. As we get into the second page, Cam Porter with a surprising 11th position there with Fabio Sau in 12th. Thorben Pullock will be 13th with Sam Skogard in 14th. And then it's Farron Grau 15th. Kevin Blinkley 16th. Max Karpichin in 17th. Mark Darnell 18th. Ian Philip Johnson 19th. Jose Madero in 20th. We still have another page here because Timothy Porter will be in 21st. Bjorn Ackerman will be 22nd. Juan Jose Suarez will be the last timed qualifier in 23rd. Hector Corredo Suarez will be 24th with Fernando Matos in 25th. You are not seeing an error there. That is 51 cars today, 25 GTOs, 26 GTPs.
Absolutely. A lot of cars here today on this fairly cool track. 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 20C, with the track temp of 22C for 71 Fahrenheit. And then we got a very calm wind, shouldn't be affecting the drivers too much, out of the northeast at 4 kilometers per hour. So that's going to be a left headwind as they go down this front straight into turn 1. So that actually that's going to not really affect them that much going into turn 1, I don't think, Greg.
No, should be a little bit handy for them in turn 1. If you want to know where north would be for the track, as they come down here, the start-finish line goes west to east. That just gives you an idea of where they're going out there today. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. It's very tight at the start here, but it starts to open up. Didn't get a good look at some of this track, but they're a little bit wide here. This is one of those high-speed corners they can do into the low speed here at Lagos. And just look at this straight away. The first elevation change I've come up against, this quick left-hander, it's flat for these GTPs. That's going to be something interesting to take into account when we come to multiclass.
Yeah, it's flat for the GTPs, but very much not for the GTOs. They actually have to break over that crest. So we're going to see a huge speed difference there onto this first straightaway. And the run down to this hairpin, this is the FIA Endurance layout. So you're going to see not taking that left cut there that the Porsche pace car just passed, but taking this very sharp hairpin. This should assist with some passing, especially for the GTPs, but possibly for the GTOs as well. The best passing places on this track are into that corner there and into turn 1, so it's no surprise to see that these drivers are going to be taking those fairly carefully.
And then a little another kink here that can be flat for these GTP, not flat for the GTOs, as they come down into this right-hander, and then they'll line up to Samsung, and it almost feels like a double. Think of it like 6 and 7 at Road Atlanta, because you've got to keep the speed in through the first part. You get the Samsung, tightens up, you've got to slow it down a bit, and more elevation changes. You get over this hill, and you realize, where's the rest of the track? Because now they've got another corner to come, which again, for the GTPs is flat. This is Craig Jones.
Yeah, see, that's the crazy thing, Craig, is that, honestly, the thing that surprised me the most when I jumped on to drive this in the sim was just how wild the elevation changes were. You come over a lot of blind crests, so if there are incidents going on, or you're just not prepared for the line, you could be in big trouble.
Yeah, you see it as well, just when you're on board there with Mickey Friesen. And I love that. I love that his banner on his car says Friesen. I don't know if that's a mistake or something by me or by us, and he's just got that. I love it. But he is on board. You start to see they're coming through, not even near the end of the track. You think it's a 1:30 track, just under, for the GTPs. But because of the full formation, really long, through that left-hander down into Sagres, which has the MotoGP, the FIM penalty loop there. We don't need any penalty loops here. They're getting ready, though, Adam, because with one more corner to go, it's all on what Alexander will decide to do. When will he go?
Absolutely, a long sweeping corner that's once again flat in the GTPs, but not in the GTOs. It's going to be interesting to see how the multi-class is played here. But Alexander Van der Sant, a full 5 minutes after we started our grid, is going to take to the starting line. We'll see where the pace car pulls off. This is the first time this combination has visited this track, so it looks like the pace car is going to take an easy pull off, and that will release the field to Alexander Van der Sant once the pace car crosses the timing line, and it just has. And Alexander goes way early, jumps extremely early, and is going to catch out Timothy Vaughn and Jack Wells. It's going to be Timothy Vaughn and Jack Wells, as well as Aaron Humphrey, lined up next to each other into turn one. It's going to be a tense battle for third position. They're going to be fairly calm about it, though. The GTP is making it through turn one without incident.
Well, the GTOs are 4 wide in the middle of the field. That's the number 141 of Forbin Pallet, trying to make up a few positions. And Cam Porter trying to keep it safe as well. He gets 4 positions as Forbin at the start there with a ridiculous 4 wide.
Absolutely. Timothy Reed got spun through turn 3, so unfortunately he's at the back of the GTP field, just about halfway between himself and the GTOs. Had another spinner, Carlos Alvarez Benitez, in the GTPs as well, as they're falling back as we ride on board with Cam Porter as he's trying to duke it out. Cam doing a great job at his start so far, still holding in 11th position, but so far no incidents.
Making the move. Can he make this onto Forbin Palak on his right? You can't see him, but he's right there on the right. He is going to try and get it. No, it's Fabio Sal, sorry, not Forbin. Forbin's up ahead, and they're going to go side by side as they come through into the next set of corners, and Cam decides to give it up. Can he do anything at the Samsung? No. Think safe about it. He stays net zero at the moment, but he's holding station at the moment. Just have to be patient as he just sees the way this track ebbs and flows and the way this traffic ebbs and flows. Still Friesen leads.
Half a second clear for both of our leaders. Actually, Timothy Vaughn is starting to catch up with the back of Alexander Van der Sant for the lead. The GTPs just finishing their first lap now, as we've had a spinner in the GTOs falling backward. That's Alfonso Fernandez. But look at this. Closing up. I don't think Timothy Vaughn's going to have an opportunity this time through turn 1, but he could try it through turn 2 if he's able to carry speed. Doesn't look like he's able to, though, unfortunately, so Timothy Vaughn's going to have to back it off.
Yeah, just went a little bit wide into the first.
Doug Cloud's around. Sorry, Doug Cloud's around to the GTOs.
Yeah. He's just gone around there. I believe he had a little bit of attack. Yeah, he went a bit too hot into the corner. I think he tried to take a different line that Josh Brain was taking, and Josh as well losing a few positions already. We've also got another person out there just spun out in the GTOs, but it's one of the back markers we keep riding with Laus Olsen, who's having a quiet start to the race, but in typical Laus, keep it quiet and keep it safe, but he's -2 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Laus Olsen has not been having good luck as of late over the last probably about 6 months in regards to consistency, just having a couple of mistakes, having a couple of incidents, and that's caused him to fall back in the field. But we're seeing off the back of Michael Taturk, Laus Olsen is trying to hang on there with Victor Rodriguez starting to put pressure, but Laus starting to move forward as the tires warm up.
Yeah, got those tires worn up. He's starting to find his way through as he goes through Sagres to try and see if he can make a move. Well, no, this is Sagres right here. Just trying to see what throttle he takes. Doesn't want to take it too easy. Don't want to take it too light. Gets on it and downhill they'll go. They're already halfway through the track with the rest of the GTO traffic halfway through. So we could see the multi-class in about 2 laps maybe, but there is no run at the moment for those GTPs. That's going to be the story of the day, though, is that you have to be right up there to get that overtake.
Good battle here between our leaders, Mickey Friesen and Andreas Sliumba, as they're duking it out with each other. Just behind here, Romain Bello and Josh Brain also having a battle. Josh Brain falling back 2 positions since his starting spot in 3 positions rather from his starting spot in second. Does not get a good run off of the final corner, but I do believe that Sliumba might have an opportunity if he can carry speed here.
Yeah, let's just see what speed he carries. It's going to be interesting to see. It's not the longest of straights here. Again, I'd go back to that Mugello. It's not as long as Mugello, but it's a straight line. But he just does not have that ability. But they're starting to pull away and into that pretty quick right-hander Primera. And down they go. This is where he's got to be patient. He's got to put the pressure on Mickey Friesen right now. And you can see this is a brilliant view. VR with a shifter sitting there. No, it's not VR with a shift. Yes, it is. It is. It's sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. VR with a shifter. This is absolutely the way to go when it comes to driving the Audi, especially around this track with how the amount of sharp corners that you got, the amount of blind corners. It's got to give you a little bit more situational awareness. So Sliumba in a good position right now, trying to claw his way forward on Mickey Friesen, or just trying to hang on to him this stage in the race. But man, with such big fields we have right now, only 2 drivers out so far, Jose Madero and Andreas Schuster.
Yeah, and of course the big field's going to be a big problem when we come to multi-class later on. Interesting line there coming down there by Friesen. I don't know if that is the line that you want to take into Portimão, but it is allowing him to take a bit of a defensive line. And again, with the way the track rules work on this, off tracks occur when the center of all 4 wheels are off the green painted asphalt. That includes the curbs, so they have got the room to play with, but is all this defending just causing him a little bit of issues right now?
2 former champions in the GTPs currently duking it out. Fabi Jungbluth and Javier Del Olmo. They're tucked in behind Emerson Gaudin as we get back onto the front straightaway with our leaders in the GTOs. Look at this run that Sliumba's got. He's just tucked in 2 tenths behind. This is going to be the best opportunity he's had in a while.
This has got to be it, but remember that speed into turn 1. Is he going to do it? No, he realizes because that corner, it's a narrow corner, but the speed you carry, look how fast. That is 150 kilometers an hour. Unfortunately, I don't have the miles on me at the moment. That just gives you an idea. That's a lot of speed carrying in. And because of the fact it's so narrow, you've got to make that overtake before you get to that corner. You can't do it in the corner.
I thought Sliumba had the run, but unfortunately just the way that the traction works on this track, he just was not able to get the run there on Friesen, but he might not be trying to pass at this point. He had that good opportunity in turn 1, decided to think better of it because he doesn't want to bring Arturas Kundelis into the fight.
Maybe not in hello. That's
sorry, we've had some big chaos on the front straightaway in the GTPs. Looks like Enol Lewis going backwards right now as we head back towards that battle I was talking about with Fabi Jungbluth and Javier Del Olmo. Lewis got very wide off of the penultimate corner, and now you can see Emerson Gaudin going wide through the runoff. These drivers deciding to take some incidents here early on as Del Olmo takes a late dive to the inside of Lewis.
Yeah, I would love later when we get a bit of free time, maybe we get to see what Sintet Glenda was doing wide. He had to do evasive maneuvers, and they're free wide through the corner as they look on, and Fabian is just trying to hold this, but who's that free wide? We're going to get this through, and it's that Zachary Bushman making the move. It is. More cars going off those. Logan Edwards just holds on.
Absolutely, some duking out here for the bottom part of the top 15 positions here. This is Zachary Buchanan in the 15th spot, now chased behind from Enol Lewis, Javier Del Olmo, Logan Edwards, Aaron Barta, and Timothy Reed.
They're all bunched up, and I'll tell you what's just happened, Adam. The GTP leaders are hitting the traffic, and these guys are going to hit that traffic next lap. This is going to put a fork in everybody here, and almost coming together. They're already getting the racing on right now before we've even got into the multi-class. Aaron Burton getting past Logan Edwards as well to take P18.
All right, let's ride on board with Timothy Vaughn as he starts to duke it out with Alexander Van der Sant. As we get on board, watch how they handle the multi-classes. The first time the IMSA Vintage Series has gone through here in a broad-class split. Let's see whether or not Vaughn can handle it, whether Van der Sant can handle it. It's going to be tense stuff.
Timothy Vaughn went really aggressive into that corner. He's pushing wide Matos to get into that little kink. Into Lagos they go. And they're nice and safe through Lagos. Now they've got a little bit of a breather. They realize the speed. They're catching up to the next car. It's Bjorn Ackerman in 18th position. That just gives you a general idea. There's 22 GTOs out there. And they've already got past P18.
Sorry, we got to go back to 6th position with Aaron Humphrey, Victor Rodriguez, Ivan Aluskas. It's going to be really tense stuff here. Oh my goodness, that is Aaron Humphrey gets pushed wide, and that's going to be Michael de Turk who takes the positions and jumps himself up to 5th position. 3 wide they go off the corner with Laust Olsen hung out on the inside now. Oh my goodness, all these drivers taking advantage of the high runoffs here.
Oh, Laust spun though. He tried to get the advantage, and he just got too early on the front. I think he also lost a little bit of the aero grip. Into the grass he goes. Brendan Lim with that ridiculous move around the outside sticks it on. We get back to the leaders because Timothy Vaughn tried to use that traffic. The pressure is there. Van der Sant makes a mistake. Vaughn makes a small mistake. Down into Sagres they go. Who gets the better line? You can bet your bottom dollar at Timothy Vaughn. Look who's behind though, Adam. That was Audrius Valantagius. He's made 3 positions up. He's shaken off that bad qualifying, and he's just putting the racecraft to work here. They go through 1 lap. They've only gone through 8 of the 23 GTOs.
Absolutely. Audrius Valantagius is one of the best when it comes to dealing with the traffic. As you can see, Van der Sant getting his nose cut off there, and here comes Valantagius. He's going to cut to the inside there. He's going to try and scythe his way through this. The battle's going on for 9th position between David B. Lehman, Farron Grau, and Thorben Pollock, as we have a spinner there. That was, I believe that was Carlos Alvarez Benite. He's a lapper in these cars. Oh my goodness. That was Kundalis. Oh no! That was from the lead.
It was Kundalis. We're going to get a quick replay of what happened here. You're not missing anything, you're missing everything. But we got to see what's happened to Kundalis. Just getting through at the corners here. And this is just a mistake, getting a bit too hot. He just took too much speed. No, the GTP just makes a mistake and loses the rear and takes Kundalis out. And thankfully, he hits the car. He doesn't hit the barrier.
Our leaders in the GTOs still have not dealt with this GTP traffic, but the GTP traffic complete chaos from about 15th on back. With that battle that we were watching previously, it's completely insane. As we look back on Mickey Friesen, he's still tucked in behind Sliumba. That pass happened while the leaders were just starting to hit the back of the GTO field, so that pass has been completed, and it looks like Friesen's happy to stay where he is at the moment.
There's a fantastic battle going on in the middle of the field. Be watching this as well. I don't think he's got a run at this moment. Sintes Galindo took a
oh, sorry, we've had a wreck.
Gone off.
We've had a wreck. Timothy Reed has gone around in the GTPs. He's been sent around off the nose of Aaron Humphrey, unfortunately, so he's fallen back a couple of positions now. My goodness, chaos throughout the field as the GTP is trying to cut through. This is the biggest field we've seen in IMSA Vintage in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, I think the last time we had a field this big, it was Zandvoort last season. And you can just start to see, and this is the way the battle is going. Youngbuff and Butchhammond, they're trying to make the moves, and they got to do it round the GTP. Oh. One's going to go round, one's going to go in the inside. And it is almost like Spa, but somehow Fabian Youngbuff holds that position. This is what I meant, Adam. They can go any way they want around here, these GTPs. Sometimes they're going to have to respect.
Audrius Valantagius trying to make a move here on Timothy Vaughn. He's going to have to take the long way around the outside. Vaughn is going to take it deep, but he's going to take it too deep. He's going to make a mistake here, opening up the door to Valantagius. He's going to try and stick his nose in, but not going to have anything to do with it. Michael de Turk has moved himself up to the 4th position. He's now right off the back of these guys, but Van der Sant is 2.5 seconds clear.
Just got to keep it a little bit calm, folks. We're only 28 minutes still left in the race. You're going to go through the traffic more than once around here. So let's not use all our 9 lives around here at the moment. You start to see Van der Sant. Just that small mistake. Yes, the inside is there sometimes, Adam. But with these anti-cut curves, you can't take that inside line if the driver's gone off the apex mid-corner. You've got to wait.
These are leaders in the GTOs they're trying to go by. So this could affect both battles going on right now, and it is going to separate that battle for the lead. Look at how close that was for Timothy Vaughn sneaking around the outside, but Michael de Turk has quite a run on Valantagius. He's going to have to dive to the inside, almost hits the pit barrier, but fortunately he's able to keep it going, but he's going to lose that draft. Valantagius, he's going to take this opportunity into one. Yes, he is.
Can he make this? This is tough to make the move into Primera, and he is in it there for P2. Now he's got to find a way to get the 3 seconds. And look at Michael Detard trying to make that move. A little bit of an excuse me. He tried to make it into Lagos. It doesn't work. Can he make it round the outside of the next corner? No. Down to the run. He doesn't have the slipstream. He'll have to try and do this around the outside. Or Torre VIP. And is he going to be the very important person today? No, he's going to wait.
Absolutely, Jack Wells starting to catch up to the back of these guys as well, but I think Turk took the right opportunity to let Vaughn go because they need to stay attached to the back of Van der Sant and have Van der Sant bring them up to, Valentagius, and have Valentagius bring them up to Van der Sant because at the moment they're 3.6 seconds behind and dropping.
Yeah, and of course, he's managed to get past the traffic before this lot have got past the traffic. So he had a little bit of clear air. What I'm talking about, they got the clear air, they've got the momentum. He has got half a track free. The next GTO at the moment has just hit Lagos. He is just coming out the final corner, so they've got a lot of time and a lot of patience to go. Meanwhile, that middle battle in the GTPs is still coming through. Aitor Sintes Galindo making up 6 places. Zachary Buchanan making up 9.
Absolutely. So Aitor Sintes Galindo making a good job of working through the traffic. Remember, that was the first time many of these drivers have done this traffic surge, but Sintes Galindo very wide through the penultimate corner is going to give room for Brendan Lim to start to run away. But Lim looks like he's taken a little bit more downforce today compared to Sintes Galindo. And Sintes Galindo with quite a bit of overspeed, about 5 miles an hour so far on this straightaway. And he's not even in the full draft, Craig.
And you can see now why, when we saw Michael Detard pull out of the slipstream of Valentagius, why it was a hindrance. He needed to really possibly go a little bit off the throttle to hold on the back of Valentagius to get a chance of that move. It did not come to fruition, and you just start to see how that long straight, again, it's not the longest straight, but that is such a long straight because of how much throttle you're on at Galp. It makes a difference if you do the slipstream.
Absolutely. So Sintes Galindo trying to catch up to the back of Brendan Lim. Emerson Gaudin in the background trying to get past Zachary Buchanan. And then we got Aaron Humphrey as well trying to duke it out with Enola Lewis. We have Doug Cloud and Arturas Kundalis side by side in the GTOs as they went through turn 1. Arturas Kundalis coming out the better of that as Doug Cloud's fallen back a little bit. There we see Jungbluth pull over to the side. What happened to Jungbluth?
I have no idea. Did he just pull over to the side? No, I think it was just a normal corner there.
Oh, he spun. He spun the tires on exit quite a bit. So that's why he lost time to Aitor Sintes Galindo ahead. But we have a nice battle for 13th position and also for 5th position in the GTOs. Looks like David B. Lehman has had a spin. So quite a bit happening for these GTOs right now. Oh, it was a mischief for Lehman. That's why he couldn't get off the corner. So he's back going once again.
Yeah, now we've got Roman Bello, the front car, Johan van Hixie, the rear car. Bello's made +2 up the start of this race, and now these GTOs, they know that the GTP traffic is all but gone for another lap, basically.
Absolutely.
So they can just relax.
Yeah, so Johan van Hixie trying to make this move on Bello as they come off of the final corner. This should be good enough draft to get going. Aaron Humphrey is taken to the pits for some repairs for his own machine, so he's not going to be in this fight anymore as this is the sprint format, only 40 minutes for these cars. Van Hixie taking a little bit of that off track. He's going to now dive to the inside and be on the inside line for turn 1.
So many drivers using that off track today and using their advantage they can, and Roman is just going to accept what happens. But I think he's got a bit too hot there, had Van Hixie, and that almost opened it up for Bello. But again, that little right-hander kink there, it just allowed the speed to go. But if you keep running the curbs like that, Johan, I think you may be in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of these drivers starting to calm down a little bit more as they have battles within their own classes. Our leaders in the GTPs are still about half a lap away from catching up to any of the battles in the GTOs. Just had a pass for 6th position between Jack Wells and Victor Rodriguez in the GTPs. Jack Wells making that pass, and Zachary Buchanan was able to hold off Emerson Gaudin for 11th position as that position changed hands briefly. We're taking a look right now at Victor Rodriguez tucked in behind Jack Wells. Jack, having just made that move, he's going to move to the inside and try and break the draft.
And again, all this draft is important. He goes a little bit aggressive to try and hold on to it. And look how quickly, when he gets behind, look how much speed he gets. He's not going to do this around the outside. No, he can't. It's just a little bit too fast there. And the car, he actually did a good job of saving that from, I thought that was going to be a slide out there. Rodriguez with a nice little slide, but just a little bit too ambitious.
Well, see, that is exactly why when we saw F1 come to this track, you saw drivers weaving on the straightaway. That downforce, especially with the headwind that they have, even though it's only a couple of miles an hour or, less than half a tenth of a couple of kilometers per hour, it's still going to affect these drivers when it comes to that draft. So it's no surprise to see them trying to break it at this point.
And now the GTP leaders hitting the traffic for the second time. And I'm keeping my eyes on that delta on those timing towers, because Valantages has already took out half of that 3-second lead that Van der Sant had. And the traffic's just going to help him even more. So we'll look onto that shortly. In fact, these drivers here, Wells and Rodriguez, they'll be coming on for that traffic very shortly. Second time round, you'd think would be a little bit easier, Adam, just because they're split out. But there's still a lot of groups of battles happening in the GTOs. They've got to be careful.
Absolutely, and they've got to be very careful about GTOs rejoining after incidents, other GTOs having their own incidents. We're seeing here the battle for first position. Sliumba starting to pull a little bit of a gap on Friesen, still well within the draft for Friesen. Friesen last week's winner, so he knows how to get it done at tracks like this. This track fairly similar to Coda as far as the elevation and the runoff is concerned, but so far, less chaos.
Yeah, less chaos, but then again, Coda is a track that you need to pay full attention due to how wide it is. This is wide, but the elevation changes make it a little bit more forgiving. That doesn't give it an off, though. That doesn't give it a pass. Coda is still a very tricky track, so is this. But it just goes to show the difference as well. And of course, when you've got a bigger field compared to Coda, it also just opens up the fact that you don't have a lot of space on track, that you've got a bit of leeway and a bit of a breather. So right now it is just full focus on these drivers, and it's a good thing it's not raining.
Our leaders in the GTPs are about to catch up to the battle for 14th position between Max Karpechin, Mark Daniel, and David B. Lehman. This is a three-way fight that these GTOs are having, and that is our leader, Alexander Van der Sant. Oh, we get sent!
Absolutely. Was he trying to fit into a corner? No, he wasn't even trying to fit into it. He was just doing what he had to do. Slow down. He gets tapped from David Lehman in the back there. Van der Sant goes around. He's in fourth position now.
Absolutely. So Van der Sant falling back to third position under pressure from Michael to Turk. And Van der Sant, does he have damage on the rear wing? He does have a little bit of damage, so that's going to definitely be affecting him. Here comes Michael to Turk with a head of steam. Michael should be able to get this pass done if he wants it. He's coming back to the rear bumper. He's going to take a look, but they have Max Karpechin on the apex. This is going to take the Turk's line away. Van der Sant decides to think better of it and doesn't send it. So Van der Sant's just going to be on a recovery drive from here on out, but the battle for the lead in the GTOs, in the GTPs rather, is still tense now, because now that Van der Sant's gone, it's only 0.7 of a second between Valantages and Vaughn.
Yeah, and just because Valantages is in the lead does not mean Valantages has got a chance of winning this. Remember, it's a new track for everyone. They're still learning it. So Timothy Vaughan, this is probably going to be one of the best chances he has to claim a rare scalp at Valantages, as you just see the hairpin there, Toro VIP going around. This is going to be his best opportunity. And now the issue he's got as well is the leaders are about to hit not only lap GTO traffic, there's some lap GTP traffic involved as well.
Yeah, we should go to our leader, Valantages, as he's starting to cut through the field, and this is starting to get to be tense stuff for Andres Valantages, because they're in some very, very thick traffic. Look at this chaos.
It's absolute chaos at the moment. He had to take a couple of lines that I don't think he really wanted to take at one point. He was slicing and he was dicing, and he was trying to find the right bookmark to put there so Timothy could not catch up, but it's not working.
He's held up.
They've got a lap GTP in front of him, and that GTP's having a bit of an issue. Free wide round the exit. Valantages is going to have to take this. Timothy Vaughan's got such a good run.
He's got a good run, but he wasn't able to stay in the draft. He wasn't able to keep it on full throttle, but he's still alongside as they head down towards the first turn. Is Vaughn going to hang on to this, or is Valantages going to try and do it on the outside? Valantages tries to go for the over-under, but Vaughn, wily to it, is able to take the lead.
And Timothy Vaughan did that with a little bit of damage on the wing. There's a slight ripple there on his rear wing, the Peugeot-inspired wing now, as I like to call it. But maybe that could allow Valantages to get this back. And I think if he's now watching, he now sees it, he's going to go for a really late break. That's adventurous there from Valantages. I think he's just trying to experiment. Again, this is an open book for everyone.
They're about to catch up to Cam Porter. For fans of Cam Porter, he's up to 7th position so far, so up 4 positions from his starting spot. He's going to let the leaders go by. Timothy Vaughn trying to power out. He's able to get some good traction there out of that corner. Valantages is going to get bottled behind a GTO. Nope, going to sweep around the outside. So a good move there from Valantages to try and stay in touch with Vaughn. This getting past Fabio Sol is going to be free track for a couple of corners before they get up to the back of two drivers battling for positions after being in the pits, Andre Schuster and Farron Grau.
Yeah, we've had Sam Skogard as well. He's just gone around as well. And in fact, the engine has gone for him as well. A stealth spin into the barrier. But we watch these drivers go through, and I'm really curious to see what they can do. We'll look back at that in a minute because Jack Wells still in this fight here. He's got Victor Rodriguez in front. He's got Aitor Sintez Galindo trying to make a recovery drive behind. Going to be tough for Aitor. I am just having a quick look to see, can Valente just do anything with that speed difference? No. But can Jack Wells do anything here? He needs to catch up.
He's got about 8/10 between himself and Victor Rodriguez, and they're catching up to some of the traffic. This is Jose Madero and then Cam Porter that they're going to be getting by. And this traffic definitely, I can see a little bit more hesitation, but also a little bit more, a little bit of side-by-side contact between Cam Porter and Jack Wells. Just no damage should be done there, but that's going to definitely push Cam a little bit out wide there, as here comes Aitor Santos Galindo to try and put pressure on Wells. But look at this side-by-side for the lead, Valentages and Vaughn.
Got to go back to it because Valente just took the lead through Toro VIP. That last time by was an experiment, definitely. He looked at what he could do, and he went late in, he went hard in, but he gave the space. Vaughn gave the space, and he waited for it, and Timothy had a chance to keep on going, could not. Now these drivers trying to get around Johan Van Hixie. Very tight there from Valentages. He is a man we always look at, Adam, when we talk about how to do good multi-class driving. Once again, he just showed why he is a premier multi-class driving when it comes to IMSA Vintage.
To be honest, it's his confidence, because that confidence that he has, that he's just going to take that line, it honestly gives you as the GTO driver a way to adjust to that, because you can see, okay, he's very clear that he's going to go here, so I can make the adjustment to make sure to not make contact with him. Now, obviously, the GTO drivers are not supposed to adjust their lines that much, but when a GTP is signaling to you where they're going to be, you tend to not put your car there.
Oh, definitely. And we always say, gee, to the slower classes, be predictable, hold your line. When you've got a driver that's really being like that, like Jack Wells at the moment, they almost touch each other as they go down. And I think Jack could not make it on Victor. Going to try once again. Did he touch there? He's almost going to take Victor out. Not on purpose.
Yeah, well, that was a little bit of a push there, as Victor weaving, as Jack was, he definitely made two moves going down that front straightaway, so I don't think Jack is feeling too kind about Victor at this stage in the game.
No, remember the rules are you cannot make a reactionary move, and I feel that might have been a reactionary move from Victor. Gets the position back into Torre, but Jack is going to keep on fighting this. It brings Aitor into this. It brings Brendan Lim into this. And all of a sudden, this two-car scrap for P6 is turning into a four-car scrap, and they've got to be careful not to drag more drivers into this, especially when they've got the top four in GTO up ahead.
Absolutely. So Jack Wells going to try and find a way to get a good exit off of the penultimate corner, likely to try and make a pass on Valentages. I can report that Valentages and Vaughn are just now exiting the final corner. I don't think Vaughn's going to have an opportunity this time around on this straightaway. But take a look at this, riding on board with Sintes Galindo as he's in the catbird seat now.
He is in the premier seat here watching this battle, and a mistake, well, not a mistake, but a hold up there for Rodriguez. Does this allow Jack Wells to get a run here? It's going to be tough. He is losing time here, and straight away the IndyCar line, as I call it, go to the right, back to the left, and now Jack's going to look for this. I think he's got a lot of overspeed, but it's going to have to be a stand into Primera. He's looking at it. No, he's baiting, trying to look for the mistake. Jack knows what he's doing at the moment, Adam. He wants Victor to make the mistake.
Absolutely. He's hoping to force Victor into a mistake, because Victor starting to take some lines that people tend to disapprove of. It's not going to make the driver behind happy, but if you maintain the position, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Victor Rodriguez currently in 6th position. He's now catching up to our leaders in the GTOs, Andre Slumba and Mickey Friesen. They've got 8 seconds over Josh Brain in 3rd position, and they're still separated by about 8/10. I don't think that Slumba's trying to push Friesen's trying to push very hard on Slumba right now.
Nope, he's just keeping it patient at the moment, and I think that's what he's just hoping for. But he has lost a slipstream at the moment. We'll go back there later on because we're just getting to them right now. And here we see Victor Rodriguez getting ahead of the GTO traffic, and Sintes Galindo getting by. Was that a mistake from Wells, or was he just taking a wider line? We'll never know, but he holds on to that position, loses more time to Victor, and all of a sudden this could go back to a 3-car battle for 7th instead of a 4-car battle for 6th. They've got to work together here.
Absolutely. So Jack Wells needs to try and claw his way back forward to Victor Rodriguez. I think he's got speed on him on the straightaway, but Aitor Santos Galindo with a mistake out of the penultimate corner means that's going to give Jack Wells freedom to look forward. So these drivers, remember, tire wear is a thing around here. We've only have 12 minutes and 30 seconds to go, and these drivers have been absolutely thrashing their tires around this track. Is that going to play a factor as we get into the final 5 minutes of the race?
I don't think so. It's a cold track today. It's still 25 Celsius, 77 Fahrenheit out there. Humidity is high. However, with such a track temperature, especially at the early part of the morning, I can't see the tires being too big of a factor that they usually would be. However, with so many varying lines by these GTP drivers, they could be the ones the most affected. But for the GTOs, I can't see it. But also, Mickey Friesen's lost a lot of time now. Maybe have to keep an eye on that, because all of a sudden he was a second behind. He's now 2 seconds back.
Yeah, it looks like it's just a little bit of traffic that's starting to play a little bit of factor into these drivers for sure. As Friesen, he was caught up by some of the GTPs cutting through, and now he's lost the draft to Sliumba, so that's definitely going to be affecting him. Taking a look at third position, this is Josh Brain trying to hold off Joran Van Hixie. Van Hixie able to climb his way forward a little bit due to the traffic.
Yeah, Van Hixie has had a good, quiet race so far. Quiet was only +1, but he's trying to push on to Josh Brain, -1 for the day. Again, down the hill they go. Another GTP behind them takes a different line. Doesn't take it out, but a mistake there, because I don't think Josh knew where Logan Edwards was going to go there in the GTP. That's got to be a scary moment if you're a GTO driver, not understanding where that GTP is going.
Absolutely. So Josh Brain still trying to maintain position at this stage in the game. I can report that Aitor Santos Galindo and Jack Wells got close together going into the penultimate corner, but unfortunately can't make that move. Diego Barrero Hevia is currently sitting on the apex, I believe, of
What was he letting them by?
No, I'm not sure, but take a look at this battle here. We have between our two drivers. This is Javier Del Olmo trying to hold off. Emerson Gaudin. But we have a nice battle up in front as well between P6. This is Victor Rodriguez, Aitor Santos Galindo, Jack Wells. They're all now tied together because they've got some lap traffic they're dealing with.
Jack Wells got past Victor Rodriguez last time by, and now he's trying to hold this on, while Santos Galindo is now looking to catch up as well. They got Bjorn Ackerman ahead. Just to give her context, Ackerman is 19th. We've still got 25 cars in the GTOs out there at the moment. A little bit wide there for Jack. They know with 10 minutes to go, they'll have to go through traffic one more time, I reckon, Adam. It just depends where they go, but the whole track is just peppered with GTOs at the moment. There is no break for these drivers. Yeah. This is now full concentration.
I wish I could show you the track map and just the chaos of dots flying around it. The viewers, it's just insane to see. Oh, that was really close between Victor Rodriguez and Ian Phillip Johnson. Look at this. Jack Wells saying, hey, if you can do that weaving, I can do it too. Aitor Santos Galindo's thinking, well, that's fine. You go to the inside. I'll just sweep around your outside here into turn one. Let's see whether he holds it. He does.
Jack, Aitor will go. Who do you like better, me or Victor? Because you saw straight away, the moment Jack knew Aitor had the racing line, he went straight back to the racing line and he gave Aitor that slipstream. Yeah. And that was all the difference there. Fantastic round the outside though for Aitor to make it off the racing line to hold that move into Primera.
Oh, it looks like Zachary Buchanan's had a problem. He's spun off the track. I'm trying to see whether or not this was an incident caused by another vehicle. It doesn't look like it. It was just on power, on exit of the VIP. So he's back going again.
Back going, and he has lost a lot of time out there. I think he's down into 17th position. Again, a lot of these GTP drivers, I think there's only 4 of them not on the lead lap. 5 of them, sorry, 2 of them retired. So it just goes to show as well how close it is. This battle's still going on as well. Johan Van Hixie, as he continues his fight against Josh Brain. They have been just waiting for opportunities and breathing space. And once Ian Haycox gets by them, who's in 20th, we've not talked a lot about Ian today, they'll have a little bit of a leeway for another, half a lap.
Absolutely, and they've been side by side a couple of times while we've been watching the GTP battles, but Josh Brain has had Joran Van Hixie covered off at every single moment, so no surprise to see there that These two are having a good battle between themselves. Take a look at this. Jarno Van Hexie taking an alternative line to Josh Brain to try and get a better exit off of the corner and gain a little bit more speed while the GTP goes by.
It's still learning. It's still dipping your feet and just seeing if the water's hot enough, just to see what these drivers can do around here. Any line is a racing line at the moment. It's like Victor Wooten said, any note is the right note. There are no wrong notes. There's no wrong racing line at the moment because they don't know what is the racing line. They're just trying to find out what they can do. And of course, in a washing machine, I don't know how many times I use different typolatives there for these GTOs. In these big boxes, anything can happen, and they're just trying their best to find a way.
Oh my goodness. Thorben Pollock and Doug Cloud almost made contact there as Francesc Adrias Diaz tried to slide in between the two of them as we see a GTO coming out of the pits. But Doug Cloud and Thorben Pollock battling for 9th position in the GTOs. Now getting passed by Michael Turk, our third place driver in the GTPs. Look at this. Doug Cloud taking a very shallow line. He's trying to get a good run off the corner, and he's got a good draft. But the question is, does he have enough gap between the two of them to get enough overspeed to take it into one? Pollock's going to take the inside. This is going to make it hard for Doug.
Yeah, Van der Stant and Melvin's going to come up there. They're going to have to wait as well. Almost came together again, and Cloud's going to hold on to this. Locks up there and holds this by. Van der Stant's going to make sure that he gets it. Van der Stant with an excuse me there, and Forbin losing the position. We talked a lot about Forbin at the start of the race. He's now marked +3. At one stage, he was +6. Still in the top 10.
Absolutely, and so now they have some GTP traffic trying to streak their way by as they're trying to just hang on to these positions in the GTO class. Doug Cloud having his apex taken away from him. He should be able to get back to it here, and the 27 exits the corner well, but we need to go back to the lead of the GTPs because Timothy Vaughn right in the back of Audrius Valentez as Jack Wells goes around.
Yeah, Jack Wells just went around in that battle for P7, but we got to go back to the leaders because this is where Vaughn is starting to crank it up a little bit with 5 minutes and change left. Even with that little bit of damage, he has just been using the advantage of the traffic and trying to see what he can do. And you start to see, here he goes. He's going to lose out here to Ferran Grau. Ferran trying not to hold up, but he's got to take the racing line sometime. Losing out some time. Is that going to be crucial here? Is all that work going to be all for nothing for Timothy Vaughan?
5 minutes, 20 seconds to go. It'll be 5:15 by the time they cross the line. That's going to be about 3 more laps for these drivers. Oh, Doug Cloud's gone around. A big wreck has happened in the back of the pack. Thorben Pollock's involved. Doug Cloud's involved. And Jack Wells as well is still having more problems, including Fabian Jungbluth.
Thorben Pollock went a little bit too... No, Thorben Pollock didn't go a bit too hot. Doug Cloud, he got a little bit spooked from Rodriguez taking the corner away from him. He locks up and goes Pollock into the back of him, and that just caused the wreck. There is the lockup. You can see the avoiding. He's trying to slow down. You can't slow down quick enough in these cars, Adam.
No, so unfortunately, Jack Wells out of the race with the pit stop, and you can see he gets run into by Thorben Pollock again, trying to get going. So unfortunately for Jack Wells, that's the end of his race.
Such a shame. Just in the space of a half a minute, we lost that massive battle we had, and Victor Rodriguez looked to be the one. Well, he thought Sintet Galindo's the one that makes advantage of it. +9 on the day for Sintet Galindo. Rodriguez, he's not going to get those 2 seconds to catch up to the back of him.
Absolutely. A lead in the GTO says close. Mickey Friesen's decided it's time to go. We go back onto the front straightaway. You can see Sliumba trying to take an aggressive line to try and carry as much speed as possible, but Friesen is definitely close enough. 3/10 right now with the overspeed that he gets from the draft, and Sliumba not trying to break it. Friesen might have an opportunity into one. Let's see whether he takes it. He looks to the inside. Is he going to go late on the brakes here? Yes! They're going to go side by side into one.
Side by side to one, a little bit of a touch. The respect given, he has to slow down. I think he missed shift there, and he loses that position. He had to go for it. He realizes, looking at the relative, that the GTP leaders are going to be on them shortly. In fact, when you started talking, the GTP leaders were 12 seconds behind. They're now 5 seconds behind. It's go time, and it's also go time because they know the traffic is soon.
With these GTP leaders about to make their way by, that means it's 2 laps to go for these drivers because the GTP leaders are going to take the white flag this next time by. Oh, another missed shift from Friesen. That's going to do it. Unless Sliumba makes a big mistake, that's now 2.3 seconds separating those leaders.
Friesen's got box of neutrals written on the back of his car. I think he's got a box of neutrals. That's the second costly mischief in as many corners, and unfortunately that could be it. Meanwhile, Van Hixie's got P3 over Josh Brain in the background. He managed to get that position. I believe he got that going in to the first corner, and all of a sudden it is all change around here. It was not. It was at Tory VIP.
Absolutely, but now Timothy Vaughn is right on the back of Vantageous, and they're about to go into the white flag this time around. Our leaders of the GTPs, nose to tail, only separated by 0.4 of a second as they go into the penultimate corner for what will be the second to last time. Timothy Vaughn not able to get a good exit off the corner, separates them to 0.5. He's going to have, he only has one more lap to make up the time.
There's not a lot of GTO traffic.
Oh, might be 2 more laps, actually. Sorry, Craig. They're going to cross the line with 2:12 to go.
It's 2. It's 2 to go. There's not a lot of GTO traffic here, but Valentages is going to catch one of them, and Vaughn is going to... No! Ackerman sees it. Ackerman pulls out the way. He may lose a position because of it, but he realizes what... Well, he doesn't realize what's more important. He just realizes it was better to be out of the way from a heat-seeking missile that is Timothy Vaughn right now.
It's now 0.5, 0.6 separating the two of them. So Vaughn, having lost a little bit of time through that exchange, a little bit of hesitation through one, and who's to blame him in that situation? Vaughn now trying to catch the best he can. Two Vantageous is the number 1 and number 4 cars in this split. There is no split. This is the IMSA Vintage Series broadcast race for this time slot, and we have Vantageous held up a little bit by Ian Phillip Johnson. This gets Vaughn right up to the back of him.
I don't know, though, because Vaughn made a little bit of a mistake getting spooked by the fact Valentages had to get on the brakes a little bit, and you see the different lines they take through Portimão. Down the hill they go, and they're looking to try and find a way through them. Looking at the track map, Adam, yet again for the second lap in a row, there's going to be little to no traffic on that front stretch. These two will have a clean shot, maybe, into turn 1.
So this is going to be it. Onto the back straightaway one last time. 0.35 seconds separating the two of them, and it is going to be the final lap as they cross the line. Vaughn very wide through the final corner, means that he's not going to have an opportunity here into one unless he sends it very deep. We've seen it done in F1. It's not going to be done today. He's not close enough, but here they come up to the battle for 14th position between Hector Cordero Suarez and Mark Daniel, and Vantageous once again a decisive move to the inside, and Daniel gives him the space, but that means he's a little bit slow on the exit. That gives room for Vaughn. Vaughn is able to carry more speed. Here they go down to VIP.
Vaughn managed to hold the speed, and now he realizes this is the corner that Valentages has been braking super late and super efficiently into the corner, and they are almost touching bumper and wing as they come through. Up they go into a couple more corners, into the double right they go. Look how wide Vaughn is for the first one. The Dirty Air's hold him. Is that the better line though as they come through Samsung? I'm not entirely sure. He's not been able to make ground here. The relative is still up there. Into Craig Jones they go for the final time, and over the hill. He's going to have to do this on the straights, Adam.
Absolutely, he's going to have to do this on the straight. Either that or Vantageous is going to make a mistake. Vantageous rarely makes mistakes. Vaughn's going to have to try a different line to get a good exit off of the final corners. Look at this, how close they are, nose to tail. I can report that there's been an incident between Victor Rodriguez and Aitor Sanchez Galindo, so they're trying to duke it out for 5th and 6th position, but they're going to fall back. But here we go. Vaughn with a decent exit. Vantageous with a decent exit. But the question is, can Vaughn get speed through this final corner? The answer is he's washing out. He's going to fall out, and that's going to be Vantageous to the inside to take the victory here at Portimão.
Beautiful driving now. I almost thought for a moment Valentages was slow off the corner. Maybe that also just backed up Timothy Vaughn there. Fantastic racing. And now Salumba, he has just got to hold on. He's got a 4.5 second lead. Friesen has decided to hold it back here. He starts on 4th. He will finish, well, he started 3rd, sorry, he'll finish 1st. Great drive from Andreas Salumba to take victory in the GTOs.
Absolutely, a good drive from him. And no other battles in the GTOs as we take a look at what's going on. Looks like Brendan Lim is going to fall back a couple of positions as well. Laust Olsen trying to catch up to the back of Enol Lewis off of the final corner. It's going to be close, but I don't think he's going to get it. No, the answer is no, he does not get there. Enol Lewis is going to be able to retain 12th position over Laust Olsen. Another tough day for Laust. David B. Lehman and Doug Cloud are still duking it out for the 10th position in the GTOs as they're entering the final couple of corners. Tense stuff between these drivers as Lehman looks like he's really lost those front tires at this stage.
Yeah, more locking as well from Doug Cloud. They got Kevin Blinkley as well behind them, so one mistake by these two, and that's going to bring them in, but they come down to the final corner. It's going to have to be some really good throttle control here from Lehman, and he does get a bit of an advantage on the corner. Out of the corner, Doug Cloud will hold on to take the last spot in the top 10. Lehman will have to be content with 11th, and Kevin Blinkley right behind will take 12th.
And that's going to take us to a short break here on GSRC, but don't go anywhere. We're going to have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews after the break, so don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. round 3 here at Portimão, and we had a barnstormer today. What a fantastic, chaotic race here at this track. 49 cars total, and Andreas Valenteus came home with the win over Timothy Vaughn. A hard-fought battle between the two of them over the course of the entire race. Michael de Turk just couldn't keep up towards the end of the race, coming home in 3rd position, 8 seconds back, with Alexander van der Stant in 4th. And then we got Ivan Olesiuk Ayuso, who finished in 5th position, and Victor Rodriguez, who finished in 6th. Brendan Lim comes home in 7th position, jumping down just 1 spot. We have Aitor Santos Galindo in 8th, and Fabian Luth recovered to 9th position, as well as Javier Dalmo, who recovered to 10th. Emerson Gaudin comes home in 11th position, with Enol Lewis in 12th spot. Laust Olsen finishing in 13th today on his recovery drive, with Zachary Buchanan falling back to 14th. Logan Edwards 15th, Aaron Barta 16th position, Seamus Power in 17th, and then Matthew Cockerham comes home in the 18th position. Ian Haycox, not a great day for him, unfortunately, finishing in 19th, last car on the lead lap, with Francesc Agies Diaz finishing in 20th. James Melvin, the last car on, only 1 lap down, and then the rest of the cars had trouble. Jack Wells having troubles towards the latter part of the race, as well as Timothy Reed, with Diego Barrero Hevia parking it, unfortunately, at the apex of turn 1, with Aaron Humphrey and Carlos Alvarez Benede wrecking out very early in the race.
As we look at the GTO, Salumba will take the victory away from Mickey Friesen. Some great racing. Mickey's going to be asking what about those missed shifts at the end. Van Hixie will take a very well-respected 3rd, with Josh Brain in 4th, and then it's Roman Bello in 5th, and Fabio Sau in 6th. Arturos Candelas was 7th. Cam Porter made up 3 positions into 8th. Alfonso Fernandez will be 9th, and Doug Cloud will be 10th. And then we get down. David Lehman will take 11th. Kevin Blinkley will be 12th. And Matt Carpachin will be 13th, last on the lead lap. Then it's Hector Coelho Suarez 14th. Mark Darnell 15th. Timothy Porter 16th. Ian Johnson will be 17th. Fernando Matos will be 18th. Bjorn Ackerman 19th. Juan Jose Suarez will be 20th. And then Farron Grau was 2 laps down. Fulton Pollock made a 4 wide to go +6 at the start of the race. He finishes 3 laps down in 22nd. Jose Madero retired 9 laps down. And Sam Skogard and Andreas Schuster both retired 11 laps down.
And that's going to take us to our winner in the GTOs. Andreas Sliumba is here talking to us. Andreas, it seemed like you were pretty content riding behind Mickey Friesen over the course of the race, but then when he had that lockup into VIP, just holding the door open for you and letting you through, that one move seemed to be all it took. How was the race from your perspective?
That's basically kind of the way that it was. Basically, from right out the gate, it was just pedal to the metal and just smash those gears through and hope for no neutrals, and try and keep the pace up as good as possible, which in the end paid dividends quite well. And yeah, I was just basically hanging along with Mickey, but then I saw my opportunity. I figured, whatever. I'm going to go for it and then see later on the race whether I managed to actually pull a gap on him or not. As it turned out, well, that was a little bit easier said than done. But yeah, eventually it all played out very well. And props to Mickey, great driver, extremely fun racing with him. Always a pleasure.
And with such a large field today, especially for the first time going on this track at a broadcast split, how do you think the race was as far as race etiquette was concerned in the multiclass today?
It was very I gotta think on this. Yeah, it was actually all good. Actually, the Nissans pretty much more or less did exactly what I was expecting, or hoping, or praying them to do. And yeah, definitely a lot of sketchy and tricky moments, questionable decisions. But at that point, with overspeed, as usual, that huge with the Nissans, there's usually it's just always just a split-second decision and reacting to what you see in the mirror. So overall, a really great race, great venue, Portimão. The elevation, excellent, and yeah, really serves well with the multi-class as well. Always. Actually, yeah, each lap was a blast, actually.
And remind me, Andres, have you won a broadcast split race before?
I actually don't really remember. I think my best up until then was P2, maybe, so this might have been my first one. Yeah.
I think so. Congratulations on your first win.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go today?
I'd like to thank my buddies in the Slow and Confused Discord. Always very supportive and always fun to drive around with or just relax with. And thank you, GSRC guys, for your fantastic broadcasts.
That was Andreas Liamba, who won in the GTOs today. And now we've got Timothy Vaughn, who's going to be talking to Craig King.
Yeah, just a quick note there. Salumba's second victory on broadcast, but this is Timothy Vaughan who gets a second today. And Timothy, that looked pretty close, but it also, correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like you had a little bit of wing damage. Was that the key point in the day?
I haven't looked back at the replay yet. I wasn't certain. I can't remember getting hit in the rear really, so I'm a bit surprised to hear I had wing damage. But I mean, Aldris felt like he had lower wing anyway, so it was tough to get by him on the straight. But what a race! That was a lot of fun. I fully expect next week to get slapped again by Aldris by a second a lap or so, but to be able to keep up with him this week was a ton of fun and have a good close fight for the win there.
Yeah, what was it today? Because we know he's struggled in qualifying. What was it was it just you were on it? This was the combo that really worked for you. Was it just something that he was struggling? Because it did look like this felt really natural to you out there today.
I mean, yeah, I'm very surprised. Typically, I struggle a bit more at the new circuits, sort of more of a mid-pack driver rather than up the front. So I was surprised with how well I qualified. And then Aldrius, I saw him qualify behind me, like, okay, yep, sure, I'm net P3 here. He's just going to blow past by me. But then he just didn't. So maybe it was a setup thing, or maybe just hasn't quite done a lot of laps around this track yet or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was a lot of fun for me.
Now, we had a GTO point of view. I've got to get a GTP point of view here. How was traffic out there today? Because for a track like this, it looks so fun in a GTP with how much downforce you can take. But it also looked like it was very stressful in some of the points there. How was traffic for you today?
I mean, it's always a stressful task dealing with traffic in Camel GT. For me, fighting for the win got a lot of respect from the GTOs, which is always nice to see, and that's really classy of them to do. So for me, the traffic definitely wasn't too bad, but I feel like there's a bit of survivorship bias in that, and looking at some of the results and a few of the DNFs and a few of the people in the post-race chat, seems like maybe it wasn't the easiest track around.
Well, we go from a not so easy track to a slightly easier track with Spa next week. But before we get there, we've got a weekend to get through. So, Tim, any shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Just thanks to everybody else for racing today. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast, and thanks to anybody from Australia and New Zealand who might be watching.
That is Timothy Vaughan. Thank you very much, Timothy. P2 today in the GTPs, Adam.
Yeah, now we've got Michael DeTurk, who's joining us, finishing in P3 in the GTPs as well. Michael, that seemed like a very intense race. Some good battles between yourself and other drivers out there, and some very fascinating cuts through traffic. How was it out there for you today?
Intense. It's IMSA Vintage. It's a single split. It gets pretty scary pretty quickly. There's a good combination here of high-speed corners, turn one, the final turn, some of that midsection uphill stuff where you really got to be careful choosing your line, because the Audis want to use all the road, and so do we. So
absolutely. And this being the first visit for IMSA Vintage to this track, how do you think the series fared out here? We had really, honestly, kind of a brutal test of it with 49 cars out there.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to split, but it's not always going to happen. It's a new track. I know there's some challenges associated with that, but I think it's a really good track, both for multi-class and for single makes. For IMSA Vintage, it has that nice challenge of some slow-speed hairpins where the Audis have the advantage, and some high-speed sweepers where the Nissan really shines. I think it's a good track for IMSA Vintage. I think it's much better than, say, Jerez, where like that last sector is just absolute hell for the Nissans if you catch an Audi. I think there's a good give and take here, and there's so many different lines around the corners that it really allows drivers to work together to help both cars get through traffic.
Well, Michael, next week we head over to Spa, which is the classic layout. So what are your thoughts heading into that one? It's very different than the last two tracks we've been at.
Won't be a race for me. I'm only showing up like I have in the past few seasons for a few select races. I was very interested in racing Portimão and Coda. I know people are going to go, why is he saying he wanted to race Coda? I love Coda. I love this track. So probably the only two this season for me. Maybe I'll show up for one or two more, but Spa won't be one of them.
Well, Michael, it was good to see you while you were here, and congrats on the P3 today.
Thanks. Hard fought.
Was Michael Turk, who finished in third position in the GTPs. And last but not least, we're going to bring in, looks like we do have Cam Porter. Awesome, Cam. Interesting race today. Finished in 8th spot from 11th starting position. You had some challenging fights out there, a couple of side-by-side door-banging battles. What are your thoughts on the day?
Oh, that was a great race for me. Really enjoyed it, and just surviving was a challenge. A lot of Nissans, wanting to maximize their speed, obviously taking some chances. I was out there trying to facilitate Nissans, saying I could see they were trying to make a move like on the outside of corners, which is not necessarily the best. But there's so many different lines through some of the corners that it's challenging for a Nissan to get through. Just pick the right side to go on, to try to make a pass. So regardless, I had a fun race. I tried a little bit too hard once Arturus caught up to me, because it was close to the end of the race, and I was like, oh, I don't want to give up the spot, so I should just let him go because he would have passed me eventually. But very happy to make up several spots today and have a good finish.
Yeah, and Cam, you've been you started this race in second position in the championship. And
I did?
Yes, you did. Your consistently being in the top 10 seems to be paying dividends. We saw it pay dividends for Fabian Jungbluth a couple of seasons ago, and for other drivers over the course of the time at IMSA Vintage. Do you think that's going to play into your hands in the championship in the long run as well?
Difficult to say. Keep saying, I miss a lot of races sometimes due to travel and other things. So not sure if I'll be able to make a full season. But yeah, it's great to have consistent finishes and do well in the championship. I don't normally pay attention to that kind of thing until near the end. So I'm kind of surprised to hear that I'm second in the championship right now. Anyway, I guess got nothing else to say.
And so the GTPs, we just talked to Michael Turk, the GTP driver, about Spa next week. What are your thoughts as a GTO driver heading into this very fast and sweeping track?
Oh, that's a great track. I love it, and can't wait to drive it in the GTO. I think it'll be okay for the traffic, because all the regulars obviously have driven that track many times, and there's lots of racing room, and I feel like the passing opportunities are pretty obvious for Nissans when they're getting by GTOs. So I don't anticipate as many conflicts as there has been in the last couple of weeks.
Well, Cam, thanks for talking to us, and good luck next week at Spa.
Thanks, Adam. See you then.
That was Cam Porter, who finished in 8th position in the GTOs, and that's going to take us to the close of our broadcast. I want to give a huge shout out to the team today, Craig, Robert, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss another moment here on the GSRC. Next race for IMSA Vintage is going to be Spa, as mentioned previously. It's going to be Saturday, April 6th. We're back into April, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so don't miss that. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here on your screen. We hope you've enjoyed joining us today as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back again next time. But until then, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.